So I make 1 to 5,000 euros per month from talking about issues that really matter to me. And in this video, I want to share with you how you might actually also be able to do just that. So obviously I put this video in chapters, and also a little disclaimer, right now I'm in Benin, in my home country, and therefore you might hear noises because I just wanted to chill outside. The lighting is better than inside, so, and also it feels good. I'm going back home in a week, so I need to just use it up, you know? Okay, so mini introduction. Hi, my name is Jennifer. I'm 26 years old. I was raised and I live in Germany. And this is where I mainly do what I'm gonna talk about right now. So for starters, I would say that you need to be passionate about something. So I will basically share with you how I did it, and you can just see if you can follow this roadmap for your own sector, right? So you need to be passionate about something. That's like chapter one. You need to be passionate about something. You have to have something that you love talking about, something that is dear to your heart, something that you really are researching, reading about, everything, you know what I mean? And for me personally, back then, because I've been doing it for 4 years, it was everything relating, actually 5 years almost, it was everything relating to anti-racism, diversity, African history. And it just came about, obviously, I'm a person of BIPOC, Black, indigenous person of color, like I'm an African girl, and I was raised in Germany, as I said before, so I did have a lot of encounters with racist people, and it did really shake me up, especially as a child. It was pretty hard, and that's why when I got out of school and started college, I was really interested in empowering myself and having more knowledge. But at the beginning, I was more focused on the dark side, so it was more on racist statistics and all the bad things that actually happens to people who look like me, which is extremely depressing, and it was extremely depressing. I noticed that when I was reading The Hate You Give, I couldn't keep going. Once we got to the part, you know, the main part that the film revolves and the book revolves around, I closed the book and I never opened it again. It was just too much. Like, it's been months of subjugating myself to all this depressing information. So I started diving into African history because I thought this can't be all, like, this cannot be all the history we tell about ourselves, like the history that will define my ancestors and define me. It can't just be how we were treated by, in that sense, Europeans and Americans and white people, you know? So I started really going into pre-colonial African history and just discovering all these African inventors and kings and queens and fighters, the Amazons, like whatever. And it was just so cool. Like, it really filled me up with a sense of pride. And in 2020, you know, obviously I was getting more active in the Black community with all of that. And in 2020, after the killing of George Floyd, assassination, we might also say, of George Floyd, there were BLM demonstrations all over the world, like internationally. And I had one friend who actually decided to do it in our city in Germany. And when she told me, you know, we were in the same church, and when she told me, I just decided, okay, let me help you. I have a lot of people I know, a lot of Black people I know from all the communities I'm in. So I asked them, and they knew people who helped us, like, set it all up in the city, just get not the grants, but like be allowed to have this demonstration in a certain space. You also have to remember it was in the midst of COVID, so there were a lot of guidelines that we had to follow to even be allowed to do it. And thankfully, it all worked out. Like, we really thought it was only gonna be 500 people or max 2,000. Guys, 25,000 people came. And obviously, this is a good start for how everything came rolling. But this is already the start of chapter 2, speak up, get active, because I was talking about these things all the time. I was really speaking to people about it. I was active in the community, and I actually, right before the demonstration, had a video going viral. I once got out of the bathroom and my mom was crying, and it just broke my heart because I'm the crybaby of the family. Normally my parents are not necessarily people who cry easily, right? And it just broke my heart. She was basically listening to the news about what happened to George Floyd, and she said, these people just hate us for no reason. And for me, it was just so freaking painful. And that's when I sat down. I got my phone because back then I had a huge Instagram addiction. And I just started talking my heart out. But at the end of the day, my message was still that we are not gonna give up. We're not gonna let ourselves be oppressed. We're not gonna just have this be our future. Have this be our destiny. Basically, being killed by hands of people who hate you for no apparent, for no logical reason. I mean, skin color. Come on. And yeah, all of this accumulated in me being present on a lot of demonstrations, because our demonstration wasn't the only one, and being allowed to speak on those demonstrations. Like, imagine speaking in front of 25,000 people. That was so crazy. It's not like I got paid or anything. Like, I was one of the organizers, and I was also allowed, thankfully the other organizers let me have the space to also speak. And that's how the ball really got rolling, because there were people that I already knew, and they just, in a sense, saw me in a new light, because now they saw me speak about these issues. And when we exchanged, they actually noticed that I have an interest in helping. It actually started, and that's where we get into chapter 3, where opportunities are everywhere. The only thing that you need to do is say yes. And for me, at that time, I was actually working tutoring in an elementary school. So I was helping kids who had difficulties in their classes. It was 1 to 4th graders. And there were mostly POC kids, mostly kids of color who came from all kinds of backgrounds, obviously also German kids, but mostly kids of color. And they didn't have the opportunity of having parents at home that had German as their first language. So they couldn't, even if they did understand assignment, they would understand it in their own native language instead of German. And it was quite hard for them to help their kids outside work. And so that's what I came in. And my boss, was, because I don't work there, obviously, but she was so amazing, and she was also in the loop of me doing the whole thing with Black Lives Matter, and was constantly asking questions. So at one point, I was just so passionate, because I noticed with these kids, I noticed that the way they're being seen, the images that we uphold about the ethnic groups, are actually holding them back and not allowing them to really fulfill the potential that they have. Because these are kids that might be surrounded by teachers who actually have sometimes racist ideologies, not in all cases, but I met a lot who do. And these kids start believing what these teachers tell them based on the wrong attitudes that the teachers have. I literally forgot the word for Tyler. Whatever. So I was just so passionate about it. I just talked to her, and that's when opportunity came. She told me, hey, would you want to give workshops for all 1st to 4th graders? Obviously not the whole school, but those who stay at school like after classes because their parents work. So it was 4 classes, a 1st grade class, a 2nd grade class, 3rd grade, and 4th grade, right? And I just said yes, and that's why I'm saying say yes. When opportunity arises, opportunity can come from anywhere. Just say yes, Yeah, so I basically said yes, and I did it. And it's not like I was prepared. It's not like it's something I had done before. I just sat down and I asked myself the question, what do I want to teach those children? And for me, it was really important for the POC children, obviously, to have something they can be proud of, like especially BIPOC, because it was more African history, but for the non-BIPOC children to also learn something new and be really excited about getting to know not only African history, it's a continent, but also just, then starting to get the ball rolling and them being interested in all kinds of ethnic groups and cultures and countries and continents, right? And it worked out so amazingly. Like, it was 2 hours each. And after that, it just kept going. Like, I think it was mostly word of mouth when it comes to me, so the people I had known before, now seeing me in this new light, seeing what I'm doing, they started, when they got like organizations asking them if they knew someone who would be willing to give a workshop in a class or something, they would reach out to me. And that's how it started. They loved the way I worked, they loved the job I did, and that's how more and more opportunities came in. At first, there wasn't money where I could say, I could live from it, but over the years, it sure became that. And you have to understand, it was just word of mouth. Like, I was still in uni. Well, I still kind of am in uni, but I'm kind of done, but that's another story. I was still in uni, but at one point I really could work from it. Recently, I just took a job because I'm not a big fan of the lack of consistency, but it also is. It comes to me because now at a point in my life where I'd love to pivot. It's really harsh to keep talking about these topics and do these workshops. It's really hard on me. And that's where we get to chapter 4, know your worth. You have to know how much you're worth. Because at the end of the day, at first, and that's my mentor, she told me that, right? It's actually a woman who brought me a lot of opportunities. She told me one thing that really impacted me. And she said, always get paid. People will make you feel like, especially when it comes to social issues where there's not a lot of money, they will tell you that, oh yeah, because it's so important to you, you should get paid for it. But at the end of the day, I'm a black woman standing in front of mostly rooms full of white people that will question me, will question my knowledge, will question my expertise, which can obviously create tension. So I should get paid. I should get paid because it's not only my time, it's also my well-being that I'm putting on the line to teach someone something that they want to know because they know they need to know it, actually. So yeah, I was getting paid 100 euros per hour. Like the first workshop, with the elementary school kids, it was 20 bucks an hour. And then I went up to 100 bucks an hour. I actually wanted to go even bigger, but as I had my fixed partners, the opportunity never arose because they have fixed budgets. And that's why it's so important, like, know your worth. Don't be scared of pivoting, of changing where you're getting your money from. Because the market I was in, they were really limited in how much they could spend. So schools, obviously, they were really limited on the outside. But I had a milestone, guys. My milestone was in 2023, at the end of the year. I actually got, one organization reached out to me and they paid for 1.5 hours 1,000 euros. And that's where, when it comes to negotiations, I can only tell you, if you're not sure about how much you should take, obviously if you don't have people around you who are in the same sector, then what I would recommend is to ask for their budget. What is their budget? And I wasn't sure what I should ask for because obviously it was an input for an organization. It was 70 people, it was online, and it was all adults. It was more corporate-y. And what I decided to do was ask them for their budget instead of giving them a number, which would have been, now looking back, way too low. And that's when I noticed, okay, working with organizations where I'm not working with kids, but with young adults or adults, young adults and adults is more lucrative than working with kids. Not to say that I still adore working with kids, obviously, but obviously I already dove into the part where it comes to the fact that it will be a roller coaster ride, right? And I started and the money just became more and more, so that at one point I didn't need a job anymore. I think, most of 2022 and the whole year of 2023, I did not have to get a job. Like for almost 2 years, I didn't have to get a job. I also have to add, I'm living at home, right? So that was easier. It's easier, so in the months where I had more money, I could let it simmer for the months where I earned less money, right? And I didn't have rent to pay. Obviously, I helped out at home, but that's just normal. That's just normal in my culture. But you have to think that when everything is word of mouth and the market keeps changing, it can get quite hard. And obviously, in the past months and years, we've been seeing how the political climate has really changed. I mean, obviously in the US, it's probably worse, but in Germany, it has gotten so bad. Like there are so many acts of racism that have been happening over the years, especially in schools. You can see kids, the language, the drawings they're making, it's like everything we've been doing so far has been not good enough, not changing anything, and the politicians are not willing to invest anymore in this sector, in diversity education, if I can call it like this, although it is so needed because there are so many spaces where people who look like me are being treated horribly, right? And therefore there's less money, there has been budget cuts, and my partners actually kind of went out of business. So therefore, although I still have work and I'm still earning money, I felt the need, because due to a lot of cancellations due to sickness and budget cuts, I just felt the need to start working again, to regroup, because I just noticed that it was also getting so hard on my mental health. I need to be doing something else. And this is what I'm doing right now. I'm regrouping. I noticed that I would really love to just share the knowledge I have, the experiences I made with others, so that they can apply it to their sector and just pivot to this, right? Helping out other people, and keep doing it on the side, but have it more as a hard project instead of something I make a living with full time, because it's just too hard on my mental health. Well, I think this video is already long enough. I hope that you could get important points, the most important points. I hope they came across well. But just to recap, chapter 1, obviously, number 1, you have to be passionate about something. Like, be passionate about something, share it. Passion. Chapter 2, speak up, get active in the communities, find communities, network with people, talk about what matters to you. You never know from whom or where a new opportunity might arise. So this is obviously already chapter 3. Opportunities are everywhere. So at the end of the day, it comes to you to say yes, because which I didn't dive into it, but I didn't stay stuck on diversity and anti-racism. Literally in July, I gave a weekend seminar on the pension system in Germany. So you can, if there's something you want to do, you just have to be a step ahead of the people who want to be taught. That's the most important thing. Obviously, make a nice presentation, but if you're interested in how I make my presentations, how I do my research, how I get the ball rolling, especially for topics that I actually don't have a lot of knowledge in, then comment it down below and I can make a video about that. Number 4, obviously, know your worth. It's really important. Get to know people who are doing the same work as you. How much are they getting paid? What is the budget of the people you might work with? Because yes, I had the 1,000 euro milestone for 1.5 hours, but I also had 2-hour thing, I think. 2.5 or 2-hour thing where I got 500 euros, which is still a lot, right? 2 hours, 500 euros, yeah. So it was almost 200 euros an hour, so know your worth, know your value, know how much everyone else is getting paid, and you don't have to stick by everyone else's rules, but it's a good start, Obviously, for me, the pricing has changed because I have 4 years of experience. It's not like I'm a newcomer in the sector. And the last point, obviously, number 5, it will be a roller coaster ride. So you have to really have a grasp on your money. You have to have a grasp on what you want to do. Do you want to scale this business? Do you want to expand? Because then word of mouth at one point won't be enough. And it's important to pivot and really get in touch with people who might have a grasp on other markets that might be willing to pay more than the market you're in right now. Because it's always, I think, it always comes back to who is your market, right? So, as a conclusion, I believe that you can make money in any sector relating to any issue, that's for sure. The most important thing that I had to learn over the years is, instead of focusing on purely results and the outputs, I need to really focus on the input. What am I putting in? What am I giving out? What is it that I'm doing? What is the value that I'm creating? And the results will speak for themselves, and they will come for themselves in a sense. There's always a bit of luck, but luck brings nothing if you're not prepared. So focus on the inputs. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you could take some value from it. And yeah, if there's more things that you would like to know, please comment them down below. Reach out to me. I would also really, really love to start auditing in a sense. Yeah. So have a good day. Bye.